Thank you, Dr. Hafner. That brings us to item number 12, which is public participation. I want to read to you from an excerpt from our full policy, which states that the board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and decorum provided for in the board policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and Dr. Harris will help you keep time. Dr. Harris is sitting to my right over here. And your comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and any questions that you want answered and you ask in public participation, if you will place them in writing and give them to Dr. Harris before you leave, we will respond to those in a timely manner. And I will tell you, I've just read to you an excerpt from our full policy because the policy is quite detailed, but I will tell you that I would like to ask you to be very accurate in your statements. We've had some inaccuracies lately, and we want you to be accurate in what you say. We ask that you be respectful of our students, our board, and our community, and we will not tolerate any personal attacks on anyone who is a board member, a staff member, or a member of this school district. So with that, I will welcome our first participant, who is Ms. Leslie Bundrick. Ms. Bundrick.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay? Try not to fight with the microphone this time. I'm here tonight to just provide you a little bit of information from the community, the members of Chapin, mainly those that are living along Amex Ferry Road and the many outlets there. Tonight, the questions that I'm bringing to the table are a few concerning the due diligence process and where we are with the proposed new school that we're looking at. So a couple of questions I just want to read off real quick is where are we as far as the justification for this school, the numbers, have there been any current enrollment studies? We're aware that there are some enrollment studies done, but I don't think there have been any since like 2012. So I think the community's looking for that. Huge concern on traffic. I know we've said it, and we're here again to let you know that it is a huge concern of ours, the traffic there. So we just want to know what you're doing with the South Carolina Department of Transportation to ensure the safety of our, students, of our drivers on that road. But also we want to know what's going to happen to our farmland. Who's losing what? That does take a cut out of our communities, living. Those cows aren't there as pets, so, and you do have to feed them, and that's what those fields are used for. So there's concern there. And also the frontage, road frontage. We want to make sure that as we move forward, if we do build a school in that area, which we certainly hope does not happen, that we don't have a huge backup on the curve there that we so lovingly call chicken coop curve, and it is not a safe place to fly around that curve, and certainly not to have backup traffic. Some other ideas that the community have put out there is that have we considered building on to current structures that we have now, maybe consolidating the elementary school to become the elementary and the intermediate school to be one school, and then perhaps building a larger intermediate school to house some more students, and then increasing the size of our middle school to the size it was originally intended to be. So those are just a few things I wanted to share with you. I do appreciate your time very much, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Ms. Bundrick.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike Whitehurst. Mr. Whitehurst.
Hey, good evening. My name is Mike Whitehurst. 12 years ago, our family moved from Northeast Columbia to Chapin in the Amex Ferry Road area. Both of our children graduated from Chapin High School. Tonight, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Also, I'd like to thank you, our teachers, and others in attendance for your service to the students of our district. In my position with one of the top global data management firms, I interact with K through 12 and higher education institutions. Also, I interact with the students of some of those institutions through our education relations activities. I say that to provide you with some context and perspective for the basis of my opinion. I value education highly. Also, I look at educational outcomes not only from a state and national perspective, but from a global perspective as well. The environment that I work in demands that I take that perspective. Tonight, I'm not here to specifically discuss learning outcomes. However, I do believe that my perspective affects learning outcomes. I'm here to voice my concerns regarding the proposed Amex Ferry Road School. I am conflicted regarding this. I believe in responsible economic development. Also, I'm a lifelong learner and pro-education. If I felt that this issue was specifically about building schools to create new, innovative, and disruptive ways to educate our children to compete on the global stage, I would be all in. However, I believe that this is about executing on an old model of building schools to spur uncontrolled economic and residential development, which puts significant strain on the infrastructure and the communities to support the model. For the residents of District 5, I would ask you to look at Northeast Columbia, Blythewood, and the Richland 2 as your case study. Also, look at what has already started to happen in this area, St. Andrews Road and Irmo. As schools and classrooms are pushed farther into undeveloped areas, uncontrolled development follows, and the schools and infrastructure and communities in the established areas feel the strain. This issue is not unique to our area. Interesting enough, when I did the research on communities on a national and global level, the contrasts are strikingly similar. I would encourage you, the school board, to work closely with the Lexington County Council, the Chapin Town Council, the South Carolina DOT, and other stakeholders to look at a different approach. My ask would be good stewardship. I would ask that you take due diligence to do the appropriate economic, traffic, environmental, and other studies and speak with all stakeholders. And then finally, I really think we need to take a long-term collaborative approach which maintains a town and country concept to our education and economic development. Finally, our Save Amex Ferry Road petition now has 578 signatures that do not support an Amex Ferry Road school. If you do a Google search, you can stay up to date on that. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak and for your service to our district. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehurst. Our next speaker is Charlene Weslinger.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I too have a great love of education. I have a master's degree in education. I worked at college. I've been involved in higher education since 1997. I'm currently the Director of Educational Technology at a local college. So I too value education. I'm also in grad school again. I think I'm a lifelong learner. Just can't seem to get out of school. We do have some great concerns about our district and how the school board has maintained business. I'd like to review the purpose of a school board. The public votes members into the school board. Through representation, that school board looks at policies, curriculum, and budgeting. They oversee facilities. They adopt collective bargaining agreements, and they set or uphold an agenda for the district and for the community members. The community is speaking. A bear has awoken down Amex Ferry Road, and it has come out of hibernation. The community is not interested in an elementary school on Amex Ferry Road. As Mr. Whitehurst said, there are over 579 signatures now and 190 comments. Because you guys are voted in as a school board member and represent the community, I highly urge you to all pay attention to what the community is stating. I'm also curious about what the contracted amount for the land on Amex Ferry Road is. I know you guys cannot say what it is currently while it's under contract. I understand that. The land on Long Pine Road that's right next within visual distance of the proposed site sold for about $11,000 an acre. Now granted, that is not on Amex Ferry Road, but that's right beside. It's within walking distance of the site. There's also land for sale right on Lake Tide for $24,000 an acre. I've heard rumors that the district is offering much more than that. I hope that when the contractual price does come out, as it will, that the district has offered a fair market value for that land on Amex Ferry Road. Please listen to your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weslinger. Our next speaker will be Ms. Kim Murphy.
Good evening. I'd like to read an excerpt from a recent letter to the editor from school board member John D. Loveless, who did not seek re-election in November. John D. says, "I'm writing this letter to answer all my friends and supporters who have approached me as to why I'm not running for re-election for Lexington-Richland District 5 Board. Those who know me are aware that I am very proud of my reputation and integrity. I want to leave while those are intact and unblemished. Having a background in construction, when elected in 2012, I was eager to be a team player and also to share my knowledge in the implementation of the 2008 bond referendum. What I quickly came to understand was that the policies and laws were often manipulated and circumvented. This bond referendum was $250,000. There are many shortcomings, but an audit was never ordered. In some instances, the board hastily moved ahead only to have to come back and later redo. In addition, board members just recently requested a tutorial on the procurement policies after the bond referendum money was spent. Keep in mind, 5 of the board members have 10 years plus tenure. The chairman, Mr. Gant, has 16, yet most admitted they did not understand their own procurement codes. Furthermore, I was ridiculed during the tutorial by 3 of my peers who obviously were not interested in my input. It seems that most members of the board would rather remain uninformed. There are many things that our district does right. We have an outstanding teachers and staff, involved parents, and a rich history of accomplishments. While we are blessed to have exemplary educational achievement in our district, I believe that our business practices are deficient and need to be thoroughly reviewed. I would encourage District 5 taxpayers to get involved, ask questions, and hold those accountable who should be the overseers of the school district. Currently, there is very little time spent in actual meetings, pertinent information is not shared with all board members, phone calls are not always returned, and legitimate questions are suppressed. My comments are that, first of all, it's never been easy for me to speak to you during public participation, as I've done for many years. In fact, for some reason, my knees still shake. But over the years, I have intently studied District 5 and its decisions, and I have reviewed document after document. Public participation, I question the board, I provide facts and historical data, and that I feel are important to parents and taxpayers, and I call the district out when I see information that has been manipulated or withheld. I do this because I care about our district and the education of young folks, and I care about the future of our community and its sustainability. Decisions that you make profoundly impact not only our schools, but our entire community's quality of life. We do many great things in District 5, but unfortunately, things are done that are not above board, and it starts right here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Our final speaker tonight is Ms. Tashia Addison. Ms. Addison.
Good evening. It's been a while since I spoke at a school board meeting. I used to always be here. It's good to see Ms. Hammond, Mr. Wyatt, Ms. Baumgartner, Mr. Gant, Dr. Hafner, the two, sir. I'm not familiar, but it's good to see you as well. I am speaking in reference to the community of Chapin. I live off of Amex Ferry Road, all the way at the end of the road, so I travel that road every single day. And I have a different approach and a feeling and a different representation of the community. I am of the community, I am in the community, and I have children that are still in the schools. And we are adamantly proud of the progress that we have seen you do. And one of the things that I love about our district is the forward thinking. that you do. One of the reasons that we are still top in the state and also in the country is because of the forward thinking, not backwards thinking. You know, yeah, it's beautiful where we live. You drive down the road and there's nothing out there and it's peaceful. You know, that's great. But the education-wise, why you have had over the years, let's be clear, what District 5 has actually created. She's sitting there, she doesn't say very much, you know, but she's now right up under Dr. Hafner. And she had my son when he was in the 4th grade, when he was at Nursery Road Elementary School. And that progress, even when we look at PBIS, that's part of where it actually started. The forward thinking that we actually have. I drove around, and when you wonder about the studies, one of the studies that you can clearly see are all the portables that we have at those schools. That's one of the things that's not fitting to our actual, conducive to our education. Over the years, this district, because of your forward thinking, has created Princeton, one of which is mine, Harvard, Yale, Duke, of course Clemson and USC. But we've done that because, and we actually thought of moving, and when we thought of moving, we looked at District 5 and Fort Mill, and you're still actually competing. Traffic-wise, I sat out there with the news media when they had traffic. If you go out there and you talk about traffic, go out there around 2:30 when the kids would actually be getting out of school. There is no traffic. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm positive. I actually sat on the corner. Those who know me know I did that and counted cars. There was no traffic at that site at 2:30. 5 o'clock, we got a lot of traffic. But at 2:30, we don't have any. I look forward to seeing that school. I'm excited for it to come. And the community, those parents who are not here for the elementary school, right now they're putting those kids to bed. That's why they're not here. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Addison. That concludes our public participation. We appreciate all those that participated tonight with their comments. And that will take us to our item for action, item number 13, which are actions as necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session.